It was a bitter cold morning. I got down here just before the sun went up and the tips of my fingers were absolutely freezing. I had to put my hand into my pockets every few casts just to try and warm up. It's funny though, when your feet are in the water, it's actually warmer to be in the water than it is to be out on mornings like this. The conditions were really calm and flat. I had a crack for Taylor on first light, but no luck, so I thought I'd go for a walk up the beach with some micro jigs that is. After a few flicks, I hooked up onto a few little surprises. Little flatty off the beach. It was only a smaller one, but the flatties do love the little micro jigs. I targeted more in the Swan River when I'm using the micros, but I'm sure there's some nice places around sort of Coburn Sound where you could really utilise the micro jigs on those blue spots. After about a half an hour of nothing, I changed up to a little metal, so I put on one of the little tiny like 18 gram Savage Gear missiles that I still got left. It wasn't long until I hooked up. I saw a school of something, ran the lure through it, and I saw the fish scatter, so I knew it was going to be a old mate mullet. Plenty of these cruising up and down the beaches over the last few weeks. Pity there weren't anything to get following it. They still put up a pretty good fight. I targeted them with bread dough and little bits of bread in sort of that more fresh, brackish water. It's a little bit harder to get the sea bullies to take bait. If you find some pilch mullet, which is those, the deep yellow-eyed mullet, you can get them on soft plastics or little bits of bait as well. Big fella. Poor champ was caught right on the tail. Going to be perfect for the smoker though. I think it was about 45 centimetres at the end of it. I left my steel in the camping box, so the knife was a bit blunt, so it was a bit of a bodge filleting job. I left the top half of the head and a little bit of a fillet for bait in the future as well. I'm just putting on it what's known as a dry brine, so I'm covering it in brown sugar and salt. So a couple of spoons of brown sugar and then just a coating of salt. The salt then draws all the moisture out and you can see it's melted the sugar. I'm then going to run this under a tap and wash off all the sugar and salt solution. I'll chuck on some coals to heat up, so these are just your general heat beads. After running the fillets under the tap, I'll dry them with some wet paper towel and then I'll put them on a wire rack just to dry out the skin a little bit more. I'll then grate it over some lime zest. You could use lemon as well. Doesn't really matter, you don't even have to use it at all. And then I'm using the Weber Go Anywhere. I've lined the bottom of my smoker with some alpha oil just because mullet is quite strong and that oil can be pretty stinky. So I've just put alpha oil on the bottom so it doesn't stink out my Weber for future cooks. I've then got another piece of alpha oil which I'm going to use to deflect the direct heat away from the coals so I can cook indirect. So I've just put it on top of the coal tray and then lifted up a little bit of the alpha oil. You'll see here how it's just pushed up against the coals. It just deflects the heat away from the end of the fillets there. I'll also put the fat end of the fillets closer to the coals at the beginning as well. I've then put on a handful of applewood chips and I've got the vent on the left here open at the top and the vent on the right open at the bottom. That way the smoke travels across the fish. So after 15 minutes or so you can see that it's already taken a lot of that smoky colour, and then I'll add on another small handful of chips. I'll then check it about 20 minutes later and you can see a little bits of the fat coming out and it's definitely cooked through. I've decided to take it off now. You could give it a little bit longer if you wanted to, but then it'd go a little bit too dry. As I'm only smoke fish a few times a year, I cook it with my favourite dish. It's just where I saute onion and garlic in some really good fresh olive oil from the farm. I've then added a few crispy beans in this one, all fresh crispy beans. And then I've added in a bit of more butter here, smoked fish. I'll let it infuse in the oil for a couple of minutes and I'll put it through some al dente pasta. Glass of chilled white wine, heaven. I have the full recipe in some of my older smoking videos, so feel free to go have a look. Thanks for watching. For more catch and cook videos, please subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section.